going to share with you some tools now that will help you to manage your limiting beliefs and also give you some vitality so that you can make mindful choices about your mindset and the environment in order to keep that little narrative at bay, because often it starts there and then it escalates. Manage your vitality, not your time. So this came from a Harvard Business Review study where they looked at Harvard Business School, they looked at all of the different types of vitality and whittled it down to 4. And they looked at leaders and said, what do leaders need to do to stay at the top of their game? Because, you know, time is finite, but energy is infinite. So it's not about managing our time, it's really about managing our energy. So they looked at 4 types of vitality: emotional vitality, spiritual vitality, physical vitality, and mental vitality. And if we do 30 minutes of each a day, and wait for it before you say, I haven't got time for that. Well, you can break it down into nuggets, and it's not as hard as you think. And I'm going to share with you how. But if you cover at least 30 minutes of each of these different kinds of vitality, then it helps your mind be at bay. You're less likely to get stressed, and you know the domino effect that comes after that. Emotional rituals. In the morning when you wake up, think about, firstly, breathe. Take 2 or 3 conscious deep breaths, even before you open your eyes. Then smile. So many of us go through our day not smiling. Smile. And then think about your intention for the day. Step into your intention as you swivel around on the bed and put your feet onto the ground. Step into your intention like you're stepping into a pair of slippers. I step into patience. I step into kindness. I step into love. I step into gratitude. I step into productivity, whatever it may be. Invest in 60 seconds of focusing what is going well in life. Sometimes we can feel so overwhelmed. Stop right there and say, right, for a minute now, I'm just going to call out what's going well. Start really basic. I have a roof over my head. I have access to coffee. I have access to a gym. I'm standing. I can breathe. I can see. So many things come about. The more grateful we are, the more our brain will shift to make us feel less stress and happier. Those happiness chemicals get released when we go into a state of gratitude, and then everything shifts around for the better. Connect with those around you without any distraction. So when you're talking to someone, really be present. That helps you top up your emotional vitality. And then look in the mirror, say hello to yourself and ask yourself how you're feeling and what you're thinking. If you spent at least 5 minutes of those, that's well over and above your emotional vitality in a day. What are spiritual rituals? Now, this one that, people say, what are spiritual rituals? I have no idea. I can't go to the Himalayas right now. I haven't got the attire and I haven't got the time. What can I do? Well, look, you don't have to go to the Himalayas. I've never been. And you don't have to meditate in an orange robe. But what you can do is at the end of each day, review your rules of engagement for your energy and hold yourself accountable. Where was I serving with my energy? Where was my energy destructive? Where could I have been kinder? Where did I waste my time that wasn't even necessary? When you do that, that's spiritually reflecting. It's being mindful. Review, was your behavior, was my behavior a reflection of my core values? Read something spiritual for 15 minutes a day. It could be on a blog, it could be Huffington Post, it could be a book, it could be anything. Volunteering. So, what can you do to give away a part of your gift? How can you do that? And then meditation as well. Loads of brilliant meditations on YouTube. I have lots on my Instagram. I've created minute meditations. So they're less than a minute. Go and meditate for a minute. And then your spiritual rituals, you're topping them up, which is a great thing. Karen, can I just ask, do we have any questions, any burning questions right now, or are we okay?
We are okay question-wise. People are just making great comments and agreeing with the things that you're discussing and sharing, but no questions. We're okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. I'm glad it's working for you. I'm really enjoying it too. So we're over halfway as well, so we're going to have loads of time for Q&A, okay? So leadership well-being, tool number 5, integrative awareness. What is integrative awareness? Now, McKinsey coined this term, integrative awareness, and I'm going to summarize it for you. Now, integrative awareness is about being aware that things are changing rapidly around us. Emotionally and physically, this is having an impact on us. But it's about standing outside of that, even though you are in it. So it's about being aware of the facts and also noticing what's happening to your mind and your body. It creates situational awareness. When we create situational awareness, we are in a better position to make clearer, more balanced choices. This is integrative awareness. McKinsey compared Trump and Jacinda from New Zealand. So you can see both were faced with the same situations with COVID, the pandemic, and how they both reacted so differently and a result of that reaction. Often people are, and this is coming up a lot as well in the literature, how, exhaustion is celebrated, particularly in the States. Also, I know this about the UK. But actually, when you are flooded, and we're going to come on to that in just a second, are you really making your best choices, the right decisions for you and everyone else around you? All right. So thoughts, body and feelings are one interconnected system. And I want you to think to yourself and reflect on a recent example of where you had a stressful situation. Think about what were you thinking? What were you feeling? And what was happening to your body? Sometimes we don't know that we're stressed until it's too late. Our body will always keep score. I think there's a book called Your Body Keeps Score. It will keep score and you'll know. You might just feel like sluggish, or you might feel your heart beating a bit more than it usually does, or your feelings just tell you something's off. Listen to your body. It doesn't lie. It's indicating that something is not right. How?
Mamta,
Yes.
Sorry.
No,
we have a comment that I thought is timely for me to interrupt you right now.
Of course,
Someone is saying that sometimes you find that though you do many or some of these things, situations can still escalate to new levels that can challenge you.
Yes, they can, and they will, because you're being tested. So the thing to do is maintain your grounding. And a way to maintain your grounding is by having your feet firmly planted on the floor and imagining that there's a rope around your ankles and there's a pole at the end of that rope. I know it sounds weird, stay with me. And it's going into the core of the earth. Focus on your breathing. Ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me? How can this situation help me? How can I detach from this escalation to see the opportunity? If it gets way too much, you control your body. You can always ask for time out. You can always focus on your breath. You can always say, look, I need some time to reflect. That's my favorite, by the way. And I am a reflector. I'm not just making it up. I need some time to reflect. I'll come back to you. Because when you feel like you can't give anything, when you can't give any more than you are, you have to be kind to yourself in that moment. Ground yourself, and if it still feels too much, get yourself away and come back. I hope that helps.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
All right, no problem. So how do you show up? So 3 brains here, guys. I'm going to whiz through them. So the middle one is a balanced mindset. A balanced mindset is where you can think clearly and you are very clear and on top of your feelings. You have access to your thoughts and feelings and you make your best choices. And then if you look to the left, which this one, it's rationally flooded. So that's when you are so consumed with your task, it's almost like pushing a beach ball underwater. You are hearing, but you're not listening. You're too busy thinking and doing. And we all know someone like this, where they're just busy, doing stuff. You know, I've got emails, I've got to have a call, I've got to do that, I've got to do this. But actually, their feelings, if you notice the feelings, they're really suppressed here. It's exhausting. It's burning a lot of energy. You're not at your best. And then there's emotionally flooded, which is where you're so flooded with emotion that you can't think straight and you make mistakes. And you're hearing, but you're not listening. You're too caught up in your own feelings. So I'd like you to think about where you recognize yourself. And actually, I'd love for you to share in the chat. And Karen, if you can read some of the answers out of where people typically find themselves in when it comes to these emotional states.
So let me first tell you the response to when I interrupted you last time has been very positive. And even the person said it's important to have to wait. It may not happen right away, but to wait until you get to that calm and quiet moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
So someone says that most times they feel emotionally flooded. Yeah. Rationally flooded, someone else. Confused and overwhelmed. A mix of all three. Us. Maria is balanced. It comes from many hours of practice, she says, but she can find that place of balance.
Yeah.
Alison says, I tend to react emotionally and I need to stop and take stock. And Candice is agreeing it takes practice. Erica says, sometimes I just want to escape. So I guess that would be emotionally flooded.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing, guys. And, you know, we all get into these places. We all do. It doesn't matter how much meditation you may practice, you know, something can happen unexpectedly and it could take you in either of the two. Now, and I'm so happy to be sharing this with you today because the more aware we are, the more we can manage it. Psychologists have coined a term called sacrifice syndrome. So if we get into a place where we don't recognize it, then it can create a sense of sacrifice for us. And we all know that person. We may be that person like, I'm doing everything for everyone. I'm trying to do my work. I'm trying to do this. I'm looking after the family or whatever it might be. And, you know, I'm just exhausted. That person, whoever it might be, is in a rhythm, is in a cycle of sacrifice syndrome. You can tell I'm very passionate about this. I can't get my words out. So think to yourself, if you ever find yourself in that place, am I sacrificing right now? Am I in this sacrifice syndrome? What can I do? The first thing is breathe, ground, use that visualization exercise that I shared with you. It's very powerful. So thoughts, feelings, they can trigger, and they impact our attitude, our behaviors, and our performance. So the more mindful we are, the more we can manage them. And, you know, Karen, I want to go back to the individual who mentioned sometimes it just gets like really intense. And what if you're doing all that and it's still intense? Well, we know our hotspots, I think, as humans. We know about vulnerable situations that make us feel anxious, that heighten our awareness, that bring about that narrative. It might be seeing an email from a particular person, or it might be having a Zoom meeting with someone, or it might be just something happens at home and you're in that place. Work on that in your mind and think about what you can do. What wisdom can you apply to solve this challenge? How can you shift your narrative to make it enable you? What can you say and do instead to get yourself ready and more equipped to deal with that potential stressful syndrome situation? Okay, we're moving on to the next leadership well-being tool now, which is listening. So sometimes we expect a situation to be challenging, uncomfortable, and unpredictable, or predictable. And actually, as a result of that, we stop listening. We may have been misunderstood, or we may continue to be misunderstood. So I'm going to share with you these 4 levels of listening and how not to get hijacked. So by hijacked, I mean one of the brains that you were seeing here. So when we don't listen, we don't stay in balance. We stay in rationally flooded or emotionally flooded. Let's go back to that. So the first level is, and this comes from Otto, the first level is closed-minded. So when we listen with a closed mind, we're only listening to what we think. So, you have a conversation or someone's having a conversation with you, but you're like, yeah, I know the answer. Like, don't even tell me. You are your point of view. The second stage is open-minded, listening to what they think and are open to their point of view. So, you're not your point of view. You're open, you're willing to be influenced. That's getting more balanced now. The next stage is, actually, the stage before, so 2, you could flit into rationally flooded or emotionally flooded if someone says something to trigger you or really, cross your boundaries or your values. Open-hearted. So open-hearted is where you listen to what someone's feeling and you understand what it's like being them. What are they saying and why are they saying what they're saying? I can experience your point of view. This keeps you very balanced. The more we listen, the more we can influence. The more we listen effectively, the more likely it is someone will listen to us. The more power we have to negotiate. The last level of listening is open will. Listening to all of what's going on and be willing to be guided by our intuition about what's emerging. So I'm very interested in the area of intuition, and psychologists have proven that intuition is a thing and there is logic behind intuition. So trusting your intuition and being comfortable enough to share it together with the other person, you create a different point of view. This leads to better understanding and more progress and less holding back and more sharing. Tool 7, how to choose our states of resourcefulness for emotional resiliency. The science. Okay, so affirming. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of affirmations. So affirmations are positive statements like, I've got this, nothing is impossible, I control my narrative, etc. There's loads of on my Instagram page, so please go ahead and have a look. And I've also created some affirmations. In fact, I have them here. It's a bag of affirmations. This is what the card looks like. Just hopefully you can see it. So this is I am love. So affirming, back to the science of it. So when we affirm, then it helps our cognitive overload. So what that means is it stops. When we affirm, it strengthens our mind so that we're not overloaded by information, because our psychological immunity is built. The less we affirm, so by affirming, what I mean is just even writing down in your journal in the morning or during the day, or having a scribble on a post-it note, I've got this, nothing is impossible, the universe has my back, I'm going to make it through, all the wisdom exists within me, I have the potential to fly, I have the potential to break barriers and boundaries, whatever they may be. The more you do that, the more psychological immunity you have, the less threatened you can be, the more you have a sense of self-worth and self-esteem, which can be easily eroded if we're not feeling strong. Also, it reduces our stress, and it really helps us to deal with uncertainty. There's never been a better time to practice affirmations than now. We're just nearing the end now, guys. So what I'd like to end on is scan your agenda for high stake topics. Like I said earlier, you know your hotspots, you know your people who trigger you. Plan, think, what do I need to do for vitality, from my mindfulness perspective, to be able to manage the situation with strength and resilience. Visualize yourself doing well. Visualize yourself succeeding. So many people I talk to create this nightmare picture of things that are going to go wrong. Why would you do that to yourself? Because the brain is lazy. So work with your brain to show and to share what it is you want to happen. You know, you will not believe it, guys. 1999, I visualized myself on that stage of TED, doing a TED talk. I had no connection to have that and to do that. And I created the vision. Your thoughts become things. Your vision is in the process of becoming your reality. Create a beautiful, compelling vision for yourself. You deserve it. Think about your curveballs. Think about your challenges, as I've said, and focus on what matters the most. What's important to me right now? My breath, my thoughts, and my feelings. And think about how your actions can have an impact on others.